This is Renata. I'm doing another screencast of the success strategies. So in this one, my dad will be going over personal attitudes, other pitfalls, the climatic background of trend energies, the will of success, and this fat buster energy for weight loss. So this could be this part of the manual. The manual can be found at hscti.net/manual. My dad is Karl Welz, and this is just a screencast of his videos that I'm doing for the Life Manifestation School community. So we're going to go over to personal attitudes and get started on there.
Next, something quite often overlooked, which is a misjudgment or unawareness of personal attitudes and personal interferences. As an example, when somebody seriously tries to achieve wealth and has constantly a subconscious attitude that such thing is undeserved. When trying for love, the attitude that it's bad or worse, an obsession for a specific person. Especially with obsession, I want to say against stupidity, even the gods are helpless. It's an old Latin saying. Next, when trying to hold a lover, to be unreasonably jealous and demanding, people run away from that because that reflects weakness. Or when trying to get back a lover, an obsession that obscures everything else. Think of someone who is obsessed with a specific woman that, I talk about a male, it's a weakness that's radiated out most of the time. If that person is also timid, another weakness, lacks personal hygiene, is outright filthy, etc., imagine that this person hopes that setting a device will cause that lady, or who, like most sane person, neither wants a weak partner, nor timid ones, nor stinking ones, that obviously don't care about their appearances. And once that lady then knock at the door the same midnight asking him to go to bed with her, well, that certainly will not work, and the energy radiated out may even have an opposite effect, since it likely will cause the person that is a relationship wished for think of a filthy pig and is annoyed. Against stupidity, even the gods are powerless. I repeat that old saying here.
Okay, next we're going to go other pitfalls.
Next misjudgment are similar to before, but more on a subconscious level. Subconscious blockages and interferences goes a little bit into Freudian psychology, Reichian psychology. Subconscious fears and ideas that were instilled during the course of education, or that, even worse, well, whether it's worse or not, I don't know, that resulted from traumatic experiences. Public education is traumatic enough. That also includes the fear of sex or healthy relationships, the fear of such healthy relationships that resulted from severe abuses in childhood. I met several people who had to deal with this problem. Next, misjudgment or unawareness relates to environmental interferences. And as such, culture, where we are, can be against what you wish. Peer pressure, that is a factor which we should not underestimate. Religion, hostility of people whose help is needed. That needs to be changed first. If there is such a hostility, can be done. Anything can be changed. And the Last, I want to mention is a misjudgment of the climatic background of trends at the time of the operation, which is similar to what I said previously. And it concerns more the trends that are going on in society at the time of the operation. For instance, if you try to sell stocks at a high price at times when the stock market is bearish, will not work very well. Trying to sell propane gas for heating in summer at winter prices will also be difficult to do. Attempts to strike it rich quickly in a profession for which there is no demand in society. Well, if you want to sell 100 coaches with horses to be used in the center of New York, it may not work. If you have 100 coaches and sell them cheap enough to a museum, it may work. So you have to adjust. Often the problems are less obvious, especially when the operator has to deal with challenges that concern wishes which seem more available, which seem more legit, or which are presented like that. Sometimes such operators begin to work on desires and wishes for things that they do not really want. A thorough analysis of your own desires is necessary in such a situation. The equipment certainly can help you to discover subconscious blockages, legitimate ones and irrational ones. And as far as irrational blockages are concerned, they can be redirected and actually be made useful in other activities where their impact matters, while staying away from activities in which you want to be successful. In, quote, old language, unquote, which comes from time when nothing whatsoever was known to humans about the subconscious and its function, such irrational, often destructive actions have been seen differently. People thought of them as coming from the mysterious wisdom, will, and ways of a deity. In such a case, the religious conditioning of the I don't deserve type plays a big part. They may also attribute failures to the continuous foul play of some entities, demons, ancestors, or the like that may act outside of the individual. Subconscious trends are often perceived as outside influences, or act as, quote, attachments, unquote, from within. The practice to deal with these situations consisted of getting rid of the entities. It's a valid mapping, it worked at times. The tasks of such entities were often reassigned, and another practice was to replace them with stronger entities that are more sympathetic to the wishes of the person in question. This model works quite well in a lot of situations, still in our days, of course. You can use equipment regardless what type of mapping of your environment you prefer. Sometimes an animistic thinking or personified entities is much more useful. At others, the mapping of subconscious parts of the personality is more useful. And at other times, the mapping that deals with trends as energy fields that in many cases have a characteristic of personification is the best. It's up to you. And any one of these approaches, when reassigning tasks and the analysis of the mechanisms of failure and the setting up of specific success strategies can be a decisive help in achieving your goals. And whether you like a mapping or not is maybe not so much the preference, just wait for the results. Again, your equipment helps not only in these tasks, but also in assuring the permanence of the results. In any of these approaches, whether it's animistic mappings of entities, the more recent mapping of a subconscious, or a more dynamic mapping that involves field of trend energy that surrounds you, or a combination of all, the effects will be the same if you develop a good success strategy for the result which you wish to manifest.
The will of success.
Now, after that rather what you call maybe negative introduction, which may be a bummer for some people, to potential solutions. And I call this the wheel of success. What you are doing here is, number one, you check for availability. make sure that what you intend to achieve is doable. Number 2, you analyze the situation and the potential for success it offers. You see always some way of having a good potential. Number 3, you determine the personal capability and readiness for the task of what you want to achieve. If missing something, generate ways of the quickest possible achieving of this capability. Your equipment can help you there to get the right ideas. Number 4, you analyze your personal attitudes or the personal attitudes of the person you're working for, and your own interferences such as idealism, etc. If necessary, again, take the steps to overcome such attitudes if you don't want them. Exhibit a positive attitude. Number 5, be aware of subconscious blockages and subconscious interferences. Set up operations to become aware of them, and then set up operations to reassign them if needed. Number 6, be aware of interferences from the people, environment, and other outside interferences. Counteract peer pressure wherever needed, and mental interference from other people, their wishes. Number 7, generate a positive climatic background of trends, a positive climate, so the trends can operate best. Deal, if needed, with religious cultural environment at the time of the operation. All this has to be done before you begin the actual operation. Just one of those points ignored, misjudged, and not acted upon can be a reason for failure of a complex operation. Easy operations, simple operations generally are not the problem. The problem comes when it's complex. And if needed, set your device to help you taking stock of the challenges and build your wheel of success. Any type of interference can develop in a reason for failure. And repeat it and repeat it and repeat the same sentence. Change, and ultimately results will manifest, of course. Whenever you can analyze the true nature of the challenge, its various aspects, and if based on that you put the appropriate success strategies into motion, such as changes in attitude, changes in appearance, and acquiring the skills that are needed. Success strategies can be very helpful in developing a winning attitude and the inner feeling that is so necessary to get any type of results. It is a well-known fact that whenever there is a clash between the will to achieve a specific result and conscious or subconscious expectations and attitudes towards that outcome, the latter will almost always win out over sheer willpower. Conversely, once you adjust your attitudes and expectations, conscious and non-conscious ones, towards a goal, then sheer willpower is of secondary importance, and quite often it's not needed at all to achieve your result. Above all, be pragmatic in your approach. Rather than aiming at a goal that's way ahead of your status quo, it is very useful to compromise, to approach your goal persistently, step by step, and success will be forthcoming much faster. To set in motion a change of your inner expectation and attitudes is relatively easy, especially when you help yourself with equipment that you have available now. And now let's continue to the practical part, and I'm going to introduce you to a couple of typical pitfalls which invariably lead to unsuccessful outcomes. And after analyzing those pitfalls, I'm going to continue with success strategies that can overcome these challenges and ultimately lead to the results that you desire. Those will be examples. What follows is about desire for success that many people are practicing with many different methods. I call it a fat buster. Or, one of a very difficult thing, success strategies in weight control, or how you can get the physiques that you have always wanted. Now, weight control is a very typical example of multiple negative outcomes, where there is a clash between will and imagination and expectation. In fact, huge industries are actually thriving as a result of that rather sad situation, which they are exploiting shamelessly. Let's get it straight. Above all, fat is part of us. It is storage of energy reserves that will be used in times of inadequate food supply. Part of the human genes. As a temporary measure, this certainly is fine and natural. Gross overweight, on the other hand, has long been proven to be a considerable health risk. Therefore, whenever you want to lose weight, you simply use up your reserves. No less and no more is required. Seems simple, and yet most people have serious problems doing just that when they intend to get rid of their excess pounds, I say. It is possible that humans do not have much of a genetic protection against overeating, and most certainly do most of them not act that way. That at least is what some people contend. Perhaps that's correct, and not a leading publicity stunt to get the general public prepared for some of the more esoteric scam methods of genetically engineered treatment products or some alternative medicine, quantum nanotechnology patches that are designed to change the genes. Perhaps we should look at another facet of the problem. First of all, there are enough people out there who manage to maintain a fairly normal body weight, even in times of plenty. Secondly, in countries where there is ample food advertising, there is an excessive tendency towards gross overweight of huge parts of their population, while in countries with plenty of food supply but much less food advertising, such a problem doesn't exist. This is a situation that does not necessarily support the assumption or the cop-out of the genetic scapegoat. A good example is Europe, where all of a sudden gross overweight became rampant. All of a sudden, well, this development coincidentally coincided with the invasion of the fast junk food industry. What's still missing in those countries is that extremely gross fatness, which I have observed only in countries and population groups where corn is one of the main staples of food and of food ingredients. I'm not quite sure about that connection. It's my own observation. In the US, some 50% of non-drug TV advertising is geared towards food, almost always the rather unhealthy and fattening fast food garbage. Even in soap operas, the heroes with whom the viewers so happily identify are eating quite a bit. If it didn't work, the food industry would not go to the massive expense of working on expectation and imagery of the audiences and of the viewers. As a consequence of it working well, people eat more, get fatter, and they feed the coffers of a ruthless industries of death and disease. Counteracting the impact of food commercials should be the first and foremost strategy to help an overweight person. You hardly, having seen and read thousands of commercials coming from the slim down industry that are pushing products and whatnot, I have not noticed a single one that would describe the impact of food advertising. Strong vested interest, besides ample ignorance of the facts, may cause the slimming down industries, advertisers and executives from addressing this serious problem. In fact, it is certainly more profitable to thrive on guilt feelings of the fat and not so fat people addressed by the commercials than working towards removing the root causes of gross obesity. Such action, in fact, would reduce the customer base and market share, of course, of the slim down industry. People may then also become aware that it's not some esoteric fat-burning formulas, fast slimming fake foods that are loaded with chemical junk, self-assertions, costly diets, surgery, 10 minutes a day exercise machines, relativistic quantum nanotechnology methods and patches and so on that lead to lasting success. Quite to the contrary, simply using up the stored energy, speak fat. Either by being more active or by supplying the body with less energy reserves, again, speak food, or both, still appears to be the most effective and the most cost-efficient method. The only recommendation during such time would be that the person takes sufficient vitamins and minerals, ideally not synthetic garbage, so that there is no lack of essential substances that are needed for the proper functioning body. Let's sum it up. The potential problem is, number one, clash of expectation, imagination with willpower. Number two, the expectation of being powerless, which is mostly promoted by the food industry, but also as a hidden expectation in the slim, fast down industry. And this expectation, internal attitude will prevail over the will of the individual to lose fat. Have you ever noticed that absurdly fat person sipping on a diet drink, or worse yet, a shake of the slim down quick junk first, and then gorging him or herself on half a gallon of ice cream and 3 McDoodle burgers? Ooh, how that tastes good, you know. Number three, paying customers remain paying customers for both branches of the industry, provided that they remain fat. Potential solutions. Number one, reduce the impact of advertising from both industries. The best method is to develop inner strategies and mechanisms that create exactly the opposite of what the designers of the commercials intend to do. If possible, boycott all of their products. This is definitely not intended as a message for, quote, them, unquote. It can be a working tool for you to trigger a change of attitude in your mind. You know, one person more or less doesn't hurt those people. Number two, develop a set of expectations and inner imagery that favors weight control. Number three, finally develop strategies to use up the energy reserve of the body, which means the layers of fat. This you can do only after points 1 and 2 have been activated and completed successfully. Otherwise, this can turn out to be too difficult a task, perhaps even useless. And number 4, the success strategies can be set in motion very effectively when you set them up as trends with your chi generators and manifestation programs. Plus, the water devices help you making food more satisfying. Try it. A few potential mistakes, repeating myself. Putting I want to lose weight in the machine, implying just that, which means that you want to lose weight. But number 2, by keeping it. Number 2, working with methods that do not address the basic problem of inner attitude, expectation, and self-image. You need to change your self-image if needed. Number 3, lack of effective strategies against the impact of food advertising. Number 4, guilt feelings about overweight, using sheer willpower alone. And many more. And suggested procedures, I'm repeating myself here to finish this up. Work on food advertising first and foremost. There is an appropriate filter available if you use filter codes. Number 2, develop a concentrated intent to have the perfect weight. Work on the attitude and the confidence that you can do it. Number 3, enjoy food. Enjoy it every time you eat it. enjoy every bite, and enjoy it only in quantities that fit the plan at predetermined times if needed. It will also be useful not to enjoy it at other times while you are on the plan. Number 4, adjust the plan to what your body can handle with ease. For some people, losing just 1 pound a week is optimal. Others can handle a lot more, up to 5 or 6. Put an inner echo check into your setup. Perhaps consult with a physician or health professional as to what goal you should set. Number 5, set up a follow-up plan that corrects the habits for good and does not allow relapses.
Okay, that was that video. I'm going to stop here and I'll catch the next part in the third video. We'll have 3 of the success strategies. Thank you for watching.